of November 13th of 2023. Please rise for the Pledge of Allegiance led by Councilmember Kathleen McIntyre.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you, Ms. McIntyre. Today's meeting will set the agenda for the 1982nd regular meeting, which will be a voting meeting on Monday, December 4th. That's where all of tonight's items will be officially voted on. Tonight you will hear any number of ways of directing an item from the council here, either approving, denying, or referring to a committee meeting. Those items will carry through to the next meeting where they may or may not be offered again. At this time, the council has set aside 30 minutes to address the council on any items that are not on the agenda tonight. Is there anybody here for audience communication? I see none. We'll go to the council. Is there anybody here at the council who'd like to make any announcements? I see none. We'll jump right into.
Pardon me? What?
Is there anybody here who'd like to address the council?
Yes.
Are you here for an agenda item?
Sorry, I just went and grabbed the agenda. I didn't know where they were. So.
Oh, it's okay. Is there a reason why, in particular, why you're here?
Yes, I don't believe that we're on the agenda.
Okay, then come on up to the podium and you can address the council. Please start by telling us your name and address, and you'll have 3 minutes to talk to us. Thank you.
Sure. Thank you. This is our first meeting, so we're learning. My name is Doug Ferguson. I'm the band director at Clarenceville School District.
Oh, well, thanks for coming. You were on the last agenda, and we missed you.
Oh, okay.
But
It
you
was
were approved.
great.
So since you're here now, why don't you tell us about what your plans were?
Great. So I'm here with two of our co-presidents, Margaret Casisto and Alan Burns. We're here.
Yeah, it doesn't matter at this point. We
Okay.
voted on it already. You're good to go.
Okay.
Tell us what the plans are so we can give you some publicity.
Okay, I appreciate it. So the Clarenceville Band Boosters is a nonprofit organization for the charitable purpose of providing support for the middle school and high school band programs. Our mission is to bolster the enthusiasm of the Clarenceville students, the parents in the community, and the activities of the band program in any way possible. The reason behind our request today and the last agenda is that a community supporter has donated a guitar system to the charity in order to raise funds for the specific purpose of purchasing new band uniforms for the marching band program. Our current uniforms are from the 90s, and as you might imagine, they're desperately in need of being replaced. So in order to do so, the program needs to be approved to hold raffles in the state of Michigan. The missing item for this is the city resolution approval to provide to the state with our application. The specific donor is requesting that the raffle drawing be held in early February in order to allow for time for the new uniforms to be ordered and received by next year's marching band performances. With the state's approval timeline, a December 4th meeting is necessary to make it a successful raffle that raises enough funds for the new band uniforms, which is why we're here today in order to be on that agenda item.
Well, it is missing no longer because you got it last meeting.
Okay.
No,
Thank
it's,
you so much. Sorry about that.
Oh, no,
were
this-
told 8 o'clock.
no, it's perfectly fine. We wish you all the best in regards to the fundraiser and the band. Are you in the band?
I'm the director. I know I look like a student, but I have my badge.
We have somebody else here who looks like a student.
Yes, I'm like, I wear this everywhere I go because everybody always asks.
No, that's good.
So I appreciate it. Thank
Yeah,
you.
we appreciate everything you do in the community, and Clarenceville is a hidden gem, and
Yes, I
keep
believe so.
working hard for those students. So
Great.
thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks a lot.
Mr. President, if they need it right away, they can get a non-veto letter too, so they can have that right away.
Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure if you want to contact the mayor's office and get a letter tomorrow,
Okay.
you can hit the ground running from there, submit the application.
All right.
Thank you. Okay, well, good catch, Mr. Bernier. Item 1 is new business. That's an award of bid from the Livonia Fire and Rescue regarding the removal and replacement of ceiling, acoustic, grid, and tiles at 3 fire stations from budgeted funds. Good evening, Chief.
Evening, Council President. Thank you. council members. Fire stations 1, 5, and 6 are currently receiving new roofs. It's been a project that's been going on finally to completion here over several years. They just started the project a couple months ago, but we've been waiting for that to be done before we completed this project. So once that roof project is complete, we're looking to replace all the ceiling grids, ceiling tiles. They've been up for over 50 years. Lots of leaks in the roofs, damaged a lot of the tiles. So we'd like to go in and replace all the grids and tiles so that they all match and fit. So we put a RFP out on Mitten. We received 5 responses. They're in your packet. So the fire department is requesting an approving resolution to accept the bid from Professional Construction and Consultants to authorize the purchase and installation of the new ceiling and grids, all the labor to remove them. This amount, $74,250 from budgeted funds.
Thank you, Chief. Do we have direction from the council?
For support for approving on the regular.
Mr. President.
Mr. Donovic?
Thanks, Mr. President. Chief, thanks for being here. I know you mentioned that 3 of your fire stations are going to get the new ceilings. Do you have any plans for the other fire stations to eventually get new ceilings as well?
Not at this point. One of the stations is 65 to 70 years old. I'm actually hoping that at some point we'll be able to look at a construction project for that station. The other one is about 25 years old, and at this point does not need those ceilings and grids replaced.
So what you're really hoping for is an entire new building?
At some point, it would be very, very nice.
Mr. President, is it okay if I ask the maker of the motion to add that to consent?
We can put everything on consent if there is no objection from anybody. Any objection?
No objection.
Okay,
Chair. No objection, but I have a question.
go for it.
Chief, I didn't prep you this question, so you may not know off the top of your head, but we've got a big facility needs assessment that was recently done that we talk about a lot, about 97 or 95 or whatever it is, $1 million over the next 10 years. Just curious, is this project something that's included in that?
It would most likely take some of the funds off of that
Okay.
$100 million, yes, but this was something that was in the works for about a year.
Yeah, and I won't ask this for every item, and I don't have that many items to ask about, but many left. But that's a question that I've been asking a lot, is just how much of that number is stuff that's just things that we would be doing like this. And this doesn't answer that question, but my guess is that there's a number of requests like this that are probably eating into that. And thanks for answering that for me. I appreciate it.
Yes, sir.
Okay, there is no objection to that being on consent. Is there any audience comment on number one? I seeing none, we'll move on to 2.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item number 2 is an award of bid from the Division of Police for the purchase and trade-in of Sig Sauer weapons with weapon-mounted optic and light from budgeted funds. Good evening, Chief.
Good evening, President Jolly. Good evening, Council. Yes, this is a request to purchase a much-needed new weapons system for our officers. Our current duty weapon is a Sig Sauer P226, and we're at the stage of life in those weapons that they're going to need critical maintenance, parts replacement, et cetera. So this is a typical time when we start to look at new weapon systems. We've done our due diligence. We spent about a year looking at what's going to be best for the department. And there's a couple of differences between the 226 and the new P320 that we're going to be using. The 226 uses 2 different trigger pulls, which can make it more complicated for our officers when using the weapons. It's single action and double action. The new 320 has single action the entire time, much less complex. Additionally, the P226, our current weapon system, cannot use optics. This new 320 will be adding optics to it, which will increase accuracy and safety for both the officers and our community. The P320 is also being used across the country in law enforcement agencies, including the Michigan State Police, and it is the primary duty weapon of the United States Army. Bids were placed using our purchasing department, and as you can see, we have chosen the lowest bidder on various parts of the weapon system. Adding to the cost, I'd like to mention that we're doing a trade-in on the 226s at a very good price, which will help keep the cost down. If you have any questions, I'd be happy to answer them.
Thank you, Chief. Is there direction from the council?
Mr. President,
Mr. Donovic?
I'll offer an approving on consent if there's no objection from my colleagues, only because Chief has a fabulous beard or mustache for No Shave November. It's a
Thank
little
you,
grayer than I
Councilor.
remember, but
Mr. Morgan?
Chief, I have a quick question for you regarding these new weapons that we're going to get. Are they lighter than the 226?
You know, I don't know if I can answer that accurately. I think they are. But I do know that it's much more accurate and safe to shoot, which keeps our officers safer and the public safer.
Okay. All right, thank you. Yeah.
Are these 9s, Chief?
They are still 9mm, yes, sir.
Thank you. Is there any comment from the audience on item number 2? Seeing none, 2 will be on consent. And we'll move on to 3. That's also from the PD. That's a request to waive the formal bidding process and authorize the purchase of TruNarc Thermo Scientific Chemical Analyzer from the Division of Police to replace outdated narcotic field test pouches from budgeted funds.
Thank you, President Jolly. Yes, the TruNarc analyzer allows officers to test narcotics and other dangerous substances from a distance. They no longer have to touch the narcotics. It reduces exposure potentially to those deadly substances. This analyzer can analyze over 300 different illegal illicit drugs in one test, which saves money. This will be our second TruNarc analyzer we're getting, and that should eliminate completely any use of the pouches and the hands-on testing of narcotics. And as you all know, with the fentanyl epidemic going on in this country, it's so very important that our officers stay safe. And this is I don't want to say inexpensive way, but it's definitely the best way to protect our officers from getting affected by illegal drugs.
Thank you, Chief. Direction? Ms. McIntyre?
Chief, I'm happy that we're able to secure another one of these. We all know the incredible dangers of the new types of narcotics, how even a tiny trace amount can be lethal for an officer. So I'd like to offer this on consent if there are no objections from my esteemed colleagues.
I see no objections. Is there any audience comments on item 3? I see none. We'll move on to 4.
Thank you.
Thank you, Chief. Item 4 is a request to approve the Livonia Police Officers Association collective bargaining agreement for the period of December 1 of 2023 through November 30th of 2026. This comes to us from the Civil Service Department. Good evening, Ms. Leibel, Mr. Schultz.
Good evening. Good evening. I'm happy to present to you the 3-year contract that we negotiated with the Livonia Police Officers Association. The details are in your packet, but I'd like to give a few of the highlights. Livonia has long enjoyed a position as a destination employer or an employer of choice, and we're hoping to stay that way. In a hiring environment where they're seeing less recruits go through the training, going through the academy, and we're seeing a lot of our employees retire as they've given their service to the city. The union helped us to understand the pressures that they were seeing, and we had to offer a significantly improved pay scale that would address recruitment and retention in a very tight labor market. Our goal was to continue to support our first responders by offering a fair yet fiscally responsible package so that we could continue to keep a stable level of staffing at Livonia Police Department. When we compete for the best candidates, our compensation package has to be competitive, but it also at times is superior to those communities that are surrounding us. And both the union and we did a tremendous amount of research to make sure that we were up there. What we'll see is over the 3 years of the contract, our police officers will have wage increases between 12 to 14% and see their pay range go up to $91,520. We eliminated wage tiers, so we brought it from 10 years to 6 years, and that allows our officers to reach promotion sooner than they had before, which is a really something that attracts new hires and especially new entrants to the workforce. They'd like to see some upward mobility at their jobs. The city also increased our retiree health savings plan from $80 per biweekly pay to $100 per biweekly pay, and that helps when we get to, when they get to their retirement ages. The one thing that the city was looking for, and we worked really hard with the union to come up with just the right language, was we were looking to remove Blue Cross as the named provider in our contracts. This allows us to bring those plans out to market, make it a competitive process that benefits all city employees. The one thing I want to stress and to highlight is that the plans would remain the same. We have a third of our employees that enjoy, a lot of our various health insurance plans that were named in the contracts, and we didn't want to dilute them or water them or have any changes to the plan design. So we are keeping the plan design. The only thing that would be changing would be who would be administering it. And we also made sure that we were able to retain at least 80% of the doctors or medical providers who were participating in the plan if we were going to take it out to market. That was something that we were looking for, just to make us have an easier time going forward with health insurance shopping when we take it to market. So then we also asked for a limit of 1 year for the supplemental workers' compensation benefits. That keeps it consistent with some of our other unions, and it's also doesn't bar anyone from receiving that benefit when it comes up. We want to continue our focus on supporting our first responders and keeping Livonia in a good spot relative to staffing, and to make sure that we continue to focus on our safe community. Do you have any questions?
Mr. Barr?
I don't have any questions. I did review this in detail earlier and had a chance to call a couple people with some questions, so I'm pretty good on the questions front. I just want to applaud you because I was very pleased to see what you just detailed about the Blue Cross piece being eliminated. I think it's really important that, especially with the fiasco we went through earlier this year with the healthcare costs, that we had that flexibility. And I'll just state an editorial. I think it's important for a contract like this that you don't, pull out the rug from people, for sure. I mean, as far as their doctors and all the considerations you talk about, I totally support the way you approach this. I will say that experience earlier this year made clear to me just how outside of the norm our plans are relative to the private sector. And I think the city, if it wants to avoid that same kind of scenario again, is not only going to have to take these plans to market to other providers, but is going to have to rethink their structure of those plans. But as far as this contract goes, I'll leave it to my colleagues to see if they have any more questions for motions offered. But thanks for all your hard work on this.
Thank you, and if I may also say a big thank you to Anthony and the rest of the negotiation team, who really worked hard to make sure that the wording was something that would continue the benefit to our employees, but also make us competitive in seeking out that benefit.
Sorry, Mr. Chair, just one thing. I just want to say with my comments there, those were not particular to the police healthcare. I mean, that's what my comments are relevant to across the board with the city. But I'm just glad to see both the administration and the union cognizant of the fact that we need to be able to look for some more competitive options and writing the contract in a way that allow for that. Thanks.
Absolutely.
Mr. Morgan?
Yeah, I'd like to offer support for consent.
We have an approving motion for consent. If there is no objection, is there anything else from the council? Is there anything from the audience? I see none. So Ms. Leibel mentioned it. The president of the Police Officers Association is here, Mr. Hall, and we thank him for his efforts as well, as do we you. Thank you very much. Good job. We'll move on to item number 5. That's a request to waive the sealed bid process and approve an agreement with Tyler Technologies New World from the Department of Parks and Recreation for time and attendance by XU time to stream staff time, attendance, and scheduling from budgeted funds. We just had an item from Tyler Technologies on the regular.
Yes, we did. Thank you, Council and President Jolly. I'm Michelle Coppin, Assistant Superintendent of Parks and Recreation. We bring this item before Council because we have been looking for efficiencies in our payroll and attendance and time for many years. We've explored some options, and this is a fully integrated system into our Tyler Technologies New World ERP that we just extended the agreement for. So it's fully integrated into our budgeting, into the HR functions, so we can throw away a lot of paper with this. Instead of paper requests for time off, paper schedule changes, paper time cards, that we are just going to be way more efficient. Currently, our department alone in the summer reaches as many as 400 employees. And they often work at more than one location, more than one position, and they have paper time cards that we have to enter at least 2 times, double, triple check. So payroll takes many, many hours for our department alone. And so Parks and Recreation is teaming up with the library because they have similar part-time schedules, not quite as many staff, but at least 75. And we're going to be the 2 first departments, after your approval, to pilot this program, and really just take advantage of all the efficiencies that it has to offer. So it's a 6 to 9 month implementation. Our new director, Kristen Edson, has used this before in her previous jobs, so is very much looking forward to doing this and taking us into, this next level with New World. It also provides us benefits like trends of scheduling time and things that we can use for our budgeting purposes. So instead of pulling extra reports, it'll be manually out of Excel. It'll be a lot easier for us to do the budget preparations as well. So it's just going to save a lot of time, and we'll have fully integrated time clocks, or the addition of a geofence that somebody could sign in for work. We might have a location that, for Parks and Recreation, that doesn't warrant a more expensive computer clock, but they can geofence to just that location and punch into work and out of work there. So it's a cloud-based system that will allow for those features as well. In addition to, if a supervisor is sick or has a sick child, they could approve it at home, and just so many efficiencies. We've had people have to bring in their sick toddlers to work before just to check off all their time cards and turn them in on time. So I leave it up for any questions.
Thank you, Michelle. Mr. McCullough?
Thank you, Council President. I actually used ExecuTime when I was in Novi, and what it does, especially in more part-time and people that, like I have custodians, and they hate the computer. They call it the box. And so this is streamlining, and I'm sure your ROI is just the lack of paper you're going to get rid of. So I applaud you guys for using the innovation. This is pretty much standard, and it is a sole source right now, so I applaud you for bringing it forward. I'd be happy to offer an approving on consent if there are no objections.
Mr. Barr?
No objection, but question, Michelle. So as Mr. Jolly said, we approved, it sounded like a similar system from IT, a petition or a proposal from IT in the regular. Is this the same thing we did there, just for a different department?
This is an integrated kind of module that goes in to work with New World ERP. It is a different time period because we are only using it initially for 2 departments.
Okay. And so what we did in the regular was kind of like the whole system that the city uses, and this is a module within that system, basically. And from the way you were describing it, this module is particularly relevant to you because of just all the different types of part-time and full-time employees you have and all that.
Yeah.
So my next question is just, I have no issue with this. I think it's great that you're doing this. I'm just looking from a citywide perspective. Are there other departments in the city that, are you the last department that's going to be using this that should be, or is this something that other departments should be looking at as well?
We are the first department to use it. It was brought to us about 4 years ago as a possibility for fire to work with their schedules, and there was a concern or an issue, and so it didn't move forward at that time. But our staff was persistent in trying to get to a more efficient option.
Okay.
And so we volunteered to be the trial department.
Okay.
And that way, yes, we do hope if it's successful and that potentially all of the city or department at a time come forward and join us.
Thank you.
You mentioned the paperwork aspect. Are you still using those yellow time cards?
Some of our staff are using yellow time cards that you write in the time. So some are
I
on
can't
those
believe
yellow. I
that.
almost brought one. And then others use a time clock. But some of our locations have time clocks that don't add up the hours. So then our staff have to go in and add up the hours.
So when I was a court officer, once a week, I would have to walk over the time cards to the treasurer's office.
Yes,
I just can't believe we're still using that.
we are
It's
still
about
using
time.
that.
Still using it at City Hall.
It's outdated, just like our buildings.
So, and while we have you here, I just want to call out, not only is Michelle great at her job, but she's also a USA Swimming official, and is helping or scaring little children in the pool by her presence. No, she does a great job, and I just want to thank her for it as well.
And he only says that because I haven't disqualified his children yet.
There's been nothing to disqualify, no.
No.
No, we
they're
appreciate
great.
it, thank you. Okay, anything from the audience on number 5? Seeing none, that'll be on consent. You don't have anything else, do you?
Nope.
Okay,
Thank you very
Michelle.
much.
I just want to see, so I don't. Have a great night, thank you.
You too.
Item 6 is a request to approve vendors for equipment maintenance from the Department of Public Works to provide outside vendor services for the maintenance of city fleet from budgeted funds. Mr. Moore, good evening.
Evening, Council. Doug Moore with the Department of Public Works. This first item tonight, Council is asking for approval to allow the department to get our equipment repaired with several vendors. Our fleet maintenance section is currently down to 1 mechanic. We have a supervisor and the overall manager. We lost 2 mechanics this past year. We have not been successful in hiring new people yet. We're hoping. We interviewed some equipment mechanic trainees last week, and we have an exam request before the commission on Wednesday. We have been doing this. It's not a sustainable solution, and we understand that. We've been moving money from wages and salaries to help pay these funds that have been going out. Basically, who receives the piece of equipment to be repaired is contingent on what the work is going to be. From Weingarts for our small stuff, our park maintenance stuff, to Meacham Mechanical, who's coming in, they're supplying a mechanic and equipment during the week to come in and work on the bigger items, trucks, chippers, the leaf suckers right now. And we're just asking for permission to pay some of the vendors that are exceeding the council limits.
Mr. President,
Mr. Donovic?
thank you for being here tonight. So to better understand, are these mechanics going to be working in our garage using our tools, or are we going to be sending equipment out to their places, their shops?
So Meacham is working in our garage using our tools. Some of the items are being sent out, like the chippers, depending on the work. Their technicians will bring in their service truck. Southeastern Equipment, who comes in and works on the backhoes, brings in their service truck. The CAT people bring in their service truck. It just depends on who is doing it. The vehicles, the pickup trucks, the cars that go to Bill Brown, they just go down to the service dealership and they're worked on there.
Well, hats off to Mr. Garrison and all the staff that he has in his office. I think in the shop, they probably have about 150 years of combined experience, but these guys are the managers, and they've been there for a long time, and we've lost a lot of the different younger mechanics, and we have a lot of equipment that needs to be fixed, and I think, unfortunately, we have to do this, and we can't let our equipment go to despair, so I'll be offering approving on consent. There's no objection from my colleagues.
Mr. Barr?
Sorry. No objection. I feel like a broken record tonight, but no objection, but a question. So this said in here, you're not only looking for 300,000 for fiscal year 2024, you're looking for 280,000 for fiscal year 2023, which is a fiscal year we just finished, right?
It's, 2023 is not over until the end of this year. It's for, currently, right now, it's to get through 2023. We're hoping to bring in mechanics for 2024.
Fiscal year starts December 1st for us.
Right. Oh, it starts November. I thought the fiscal, I'll just say out loud what we're talking about here. Doesn't the fiscal year start November 1st?
December 1st.
Okay. So the 280,000 is for the next 3.5 weeks? I'm just trying to understand. I'm not calling you a liar.
The 280,000 is to pay for the whole amount. We've already exceeded.
Okay.
We've already exceeded. It took some time to get the letter written the way it needed to be written.
So some of these
for
services have
council.
already been rendered.
Yes,
You're just
yes.
understood. And then, thank you. And I'm just curious. I might save those other. I have a few more questions about this that I might save for offline. I'm
Okay.
good with this. Thanks.
Mr. Morgan?
Yes, what is the problem with hiring mechanics? I mean, is there a shortage out there, or, I mean, that's a pretty good job. Does it not pay enough, or what? Can you maybe explain just a little bit why we're farming so much of this out? We've never done, I know we've done a little bit in the past, but not nearly this much, right?
A lot of it is pay scale. And when we do have some come in, they're using the interview as the bump to get at their current position. But we're finding in the trades, which includes our building maintenance section and fleet maintenance, these jobs are now becoming premium. There aren't a lot of people going into them, so as people age, they're retiring, and the kids that are out there aren't, for the 5 that retire, there might be a half going into the work.
Okay. What is, just out of curiosity, if you know off the top of your head, what is the starting wage there for a mechanic, and then maybe top scale? After
Equipment
5 years?
mechanic 1 is, I believe, $31 to $33 an hour. Equipment mechanic 2 is 34 to approximately 38 or 39. And then equipment mechanic trainee, which is basically a 19-year-old out of Livonia Career Tech, would start at $20, $21 an hour.
Okay, thank you.
There's nothing else from the council. I believe this is on consent. There's no objection. Is there anybody in the audience who'd like to speak to this? Seeing none, we'll move on to item number 7. A request for authorization to purchase one Toro Groundmaster 4100 rotary mower with broom attachment through the Sourcewell Consortium, Department of Public Works. That is for the 2024 budgeted funds.
Yes, this was approved in the 2024 capital budget. We're asking for one Toro 4110 Groundsmaster. It's got an 11-foot mower deck on it. You may have seen them out. They go out and mow the parks. Operator sits in the cab. The cab has air conditioning in the summer, heat in the winter. In the fall, we take the mower deck off. We put a snow broom on it. It's a 6-foot snow broom, so we can use it for winter operations. And actually, this one's through the state bid with the state of Michigan. The cost of the mowing unit is $111,629.73. The broom is $8,550 for a total cost of $120,179.73 from Spartan. We currently have 3, and we would be getting rid of 1 unit and looking the next two more years to replace the other 2.
Council?
I'll offer for approving for consent, if there's no objection.
Thank you. If there's nothing else from council, is there anything from the audience? Seeing none, we'll move on to 8. And that's a request for authorization to purchase one Cub Cadet Pro Z0 turn mower through the Sourcewell Consortium from Public Works from 2024 budgeted funds. Mr. Moore?
Yes, this is a slope mower, which you need to mow the steep slopes like the viaducts and the freeway. This will mow up to a 46% grade. Our standard Z mowers are rated to 15%. And as an example, the hills at the rec center are about 12%. The cost of this mower is $20,999, and it's coming from Weingarts. It's being purchased on the Sourcewell contract, and it's a 25% discount versus retail.
Council?
Council President, I'd be happy to offer and approve it on consent.
Thank you, Mr. McCullough. Any audience comment on 8? Seeing none, we'll move to 9. A request for authorization to purchase one Toro Dingo TX 1300 skid steer through the Sourcewell Consortium from Public Works from 2024 budgeted funds. Mr. Moore?
Yes, this is a self-propelled track. It's called a skid loader, but you don't sit in it and drive it. You stand behind it and operate it. We found out this summer when we had all the trees come down that we could use a lot of mechanical help. Toro makes a piece of equipment. We're going to buy the grapple unit that goes on the front of it. We're also going to get a bucket, a snow plow, and an auger for it. And then it has a little plastic cab to protect the operator during the winter. The total cost for the unit and the equipment, the attachments, is $64,829.30, and this will also come from Weingarts.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. Mr. Morgan?
Officer, I will offer approving on consent.
Thank you, Mr. Moore.
Thank you.
Morgan and Moore. Thank you both. Any audience comment on 9? Seeing none, that'll be on consent. We'll move on to 10. Request for authorization to purchase one John Deere Gator XUV 835M with various attachments and one John Deere utility tractor through the My Deal Consortium from Public Works from 2024 budgeted funds. Mr. Moore?
And last but not least, there's 2 pieces of equipment on this. They're both being purchased from John Deere through Hudson and South Lyon. The first is a John Deere Gator. You've seen them, especially during the winter. They have snowplow on the front, auger for salt spreading in the back. Summertime, we use them to haul people and material around. The cost of that unit is $43,439.86. The John Deere compact tractor with the backhoe will be stationed at Bicentennial Park. We envision the golf courses to being able to use this also. We currently have one on site there. We purchased it, I believe, in 2008 or 9. Its repair costs are beginning to exceed its use and longevity. Again, Hudson will be supplying this through John Deere. The cost of this unit with the backhoe and the loader is $46,011.39, and both of these units are just about a 16% discount versus retail.
Mr. President,
Mr. Donovan?
the backhoe, you said that's not going to be at DPW, it's going to be at Bicentennial?
Yeah, it's a smaller one. It's not the normal ones that you see. If you've seen the little tractors with the buckets on them that Parks Maintenance uses, it's that size. This would be used to dig a drainage ditch or drainage or little holes, that kind of
Is
thing.
it kept inside or somewhere underneath?
Yeah,
cover?
it'll be kept in the garage there.
Awesome. I'll offer an approval and consent, so no objection from my colleagues.
Thank you. Any audience comments on 10? Seeing none, we'll move to 11.
Thank you, council.
Thank you, Mr. Moore. That is the proposed 2024 council meeting schedule proposed by me in accordance with the provisions of the Open Meetings Act. So I'll just say that this schedule accommodates a couple of things that are very typical for past schedules in regards to the Livonia Public School calendar with spring break, and also scheduling around Livonia functions such as the spree and other things that have been done so over the years. Nothing out of the ordinary. Can I have direction from the council?
Council President, I'd be happy to offer an approving for consent.
Thank you. Any comment from the council or the audience? Seeing none, that'll be on consent as well. And we'll go back to the audience for any closing remarks. I see none. Is there any closing remarks from the council? I see none. I will note, I'm not sure that I noted the attendance of the council at the beginning of the meeting. The only member present, not present, rather, is our friend, Vice President Toy, who's at home with an illness, but we wish her well. Good night, Livonia.